We're going to continue to do some applications of quadratics with graphs. You can model the entrance to a mine shaft using the equation y equals -1/2 times x minus 12 times x minus 20, where x and y are measured in feet. The x-axis represents the ground. Find the width of the entrance at the ground. So we're looking for this width right here. I'm looking for this point to that point, that distance. So we're going to try and find these two x-intercepts, and we find those two x-intercepts by setting this equation equal to 0. Luckily for us, this is already factored for us. So when I set each factor equal to 0, this one doesn't make sense. X minus 12 equals 0, that means I have 1 at 12. And when I set x minus 20 equal to 0, that means I have 1 at 20. So this one must be 12, and this one must be 20. This is the point. So this point must be 12, and this point must be 20. And therefore, that distance from 12 to 20 is 8 feet. So that entrance to that mine shaft must be 8 feet wide. Number 2, a bird picks up a stone and drops it while it's flying. The function y equals 49 minus 16t squared represents the height y in feet of the stone t seconds after it's dropped. The stone hits the top of a 13-foot tall building. After how many seconds does the stone hit the building? Okay, so what we need to do is, since 13 feet represents feet and y represents feet, we're going to take 13 feet and plug it in for y and solve for t. So if I take 13 and I plug it in for y, and now we're going to solve for t. Again, that's because t is the amount of seconds, and that's what we're looking for, after how many seconds, okay? And we put that 13 in for y because it says that it was feet. So we want to know that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and subtract 49 over here and add 16t squared over here. Okay. When I do that, I get 16t squared minus 36 equal to 0. Now I need to factor. This does have a GCF of 4. So if I take out a 4, I'm left with 4t squared minus 9 equal to 0. And then that factors even further by doing 2t and 2t and 3 and 3, because this is a difference of two perfect squares with that 0t missing. And I'm going to have 1 at minus and 1 at plus. And then I'm going to set each term equal to 0. And when I solve those, this one doesn't make a whole lot of sense. If I add 3 to the other side, I get 2t equals 3. And when I divide by 2, I get 3/2, or that is 1.5 seconds. When I subtract 3 over to this side, I get 2t equals -3. And when I divide by 2, I would get -1.5 seconds. Does that make sense? Can a bird drop something after -1.5 seconds? No, so our answer is just 1.5 seconds. The area in square feet of the school sign can be represented by 12x squared plus 13x plus 3. Write an expression that represents the length. So we're looking for an expression. So first of all, an expression is probably going to have a variable in it, okay? And it's probably going to have a plus or minus sign in it, okay? So remember, area is equal to the length times the width, okay? We're given the width and the length, and the area. So let's go ahead and plug in the area is 12x squared plus 13x plus 3. We're looking for that length, okay? And the width is over here, 3x plus 1. Okay. Now, let's think about this for a minute. What would be ideal is if we divided by 3x plus 1, which we can do. And just remember that dividing is like factoring, right? It's the same simple product situation, okay? So while I technically would divide by 3x plus 1, I want you to think about this for a minute. What if I just factor this, there's no greatest common factor. Wouldn't we have something times something? Okay, and aren't we given one of those already? So here's my question. If we're given those already, we want this times this to be this. Well, let's start off with the top part, the front part. We know that 3x times something is 12x squared. So doesn't that have to be 4x? And we know that 1 times something has to be 3. So doesn't that have to be 3? Let's just check that. Okay, this would be 12x squared. Yep, okay, that's good. 4x. This would be 9x. That's 13x and 3. Yay! So didn't we just solve for the length by dividing? In fact, this is actually easier because we were given one of the factors. So one of the factors is 4x plus 3 feet. That is the length.